Hi. I've been talking lately to a lot of people who want to start their own venture, they want to start their own business, which I must say I'm no exception. I toy with with the same idea sometimes. And I thought that since I come from the background, I had dealt with a lot of people who started their own businesses while I was doing my projects. So there were certain things that I found out, and I thought that I should share these tips with whoever is destined to hear them. There might be sounds from outside, there would be noises. This lockdown period, there are kids, there are boys playing outside. What else will they do? All right, so let me just begin. Uh, Let me start with something that may seem a little abstract, but then it will make sense after a while. See, uh, most of us, after we've paid our taxes, if we are earning, if we are into jobs already and want to start our venture, or we are not working, or if you're not working but we do have some property or some inherited amount on which we pay our taxes, right? So after that money is paid, what you have is the disposable income. Now that disposable income is the one that you paid, which you get after you pay your taxes. What is left is the discretionary income. Now it's upon you, it's your discretion, what you do with it. Mostly it has been seen that no matter which economic strata that you may belong to, you wouldn't feel a thing, or you wouldn't feel much if you lose 15%. So that's the risk that most of us are willing to take. So 15% would mean if you are earning 100 rupees, you wouldn't mind losing, or at least investing. Nobody would love to lose things. They invest things, but they would not feel a pinch, or they would not be distraught if they lose that 15 bucks out of 100. If you lose 15 bucks, that's the risk that you can take. You would of course want to make profit, but then yeah, you get the point, right? 20% is something that you start feeling something about. If you lose 20 rupees out of 100, then you feel, oh, I've lost, right? But you would 30% onwards, you start feeling quite a bit. You feel um, the loss. So mostly the rich people who have a lot of a bigger amount of discretionary income, you would see that they are seen as risk takers. The confidence actually comes from the discretionary income that they have. So everyone's 15% would differ, everyone's 20% would differ, everyone's 30% would differ, right? On the basis of whatever discretionary income that you have, you can start either a small business or a medium business or a big business. Now there are different ways to define small, medium and big businesses, like how much investments you make, how many employees you keep. But I personally, after reading sizable text on this subject, I feel it's the ability to sustain in the market that would decide what category you fall into. Scale businesses, small businesses, usually don't have that kind of a latitude. It has been seen that they fold up 30% of them within the first year of their launch. About 50% of the small scale businesses they'll fold up within 5 years, and about 80% of them fold up in 10 years time. Now this person doesn't vary much when it comes to advanced countries or developing countries or underdeveloped. So the idea is that most of the small scale business, varying from 60 to 80%, they fold up. And it's not a rosy picture, but that doesn't mean you can't rule out the possibility of success. If you play your cards well, there are people who have succeeded. We'll talk about what exactly do they do, but then let me talk a little bit about what's the success ratio that has been seen for small scale business. I don't know whether it's visible or not. I hope it is. Hope it is. No, it's not. Just a moment. Alright, so small businesses usually do well when they are operating in services, not in production. Now, these services may be a solo service or in partnership. There are a 10, you could check it out on your own on Google, but there are 10 to 30% chances that you will succeed. Uh, to 10 to 30% chances more that you will succeed if you start something in partnership, because the risk is divided. You are not bearing it all. So if you have started your freelance service for some creative projects, ad making or voiceover, or you have a dentist shop, or you are let's say, yeah, you're a legal expert, you are into accounts, you're a chartered accountant, you design websites, then there are great chances that even though your investments are less, but then you will survive. Then when it comes to medium scale, you would survive when you have a small number of people working under you, like construction, like the interior designers make a lot of money because their profit margins are sizable. They have a small fleet of people working under them who are skilled, who are dependable. Then of course travel and tourism is this particular field also falls in medium scale business. Then you have big businesses. Big businesses, unlike small businesses, do very well in production. Now this production could be food and beverage, this could be items that are connected to artificial intelligence, and then it also means manufacturing of cars, phones, electronic items. So it's when it comes to production of products, they have an edge. The big businesses have an edge. Now, all these things do not mean that if you're starting at a lower scale, you have, and you want to produce something, you want to launch your product, you don't have any chance at all. It's not so. In fact, okay, I've missed an important point which I will talk about. These are the few points that can really take you far. It has been found over and over again, the small businesses who have their business model based on these few points plus one more that I'm going to talk about, they have a good chance of succeeding. Now these points are uniqueness. So what is uniqueness? Amidst a lot of competitors, if you can position your brand, if you can position your product as the most unique one. Now these days there is this people go for natural stuff, green stuff. So you have to not just, of course, fake it. You have to use natural stuff, be it cosmetics or some food products or apparels or whatever. You have not just that you would use it, but you would market it properly, that this particular thing is representative of your, not just the culture, the place that you come from, but it's also unique because it's going to be good for the customers, for the clients that go for your stuff. No, not the clients, the customers. Alright, so uniqueness is one. Then you have innovation. What is the emotional appeal? Will you forego other stuff to buy a product that you are trying to launch? Do you feel that kind of an appeal in your product? If you are not convinced, no one else would be. There has to be, you have to innovate marketing and production techniques in a way that appear to be most innovative. Then you have to maintain high standards in quality, and you have to have good networking. It has been found that video marketing is most successful. So, all right, that was just a PS. That was just a postscript. You can use your own ways of networking, building a market for your product. But one important point that's missing is the best way for a small scale business owner to survive in the market is, or beside having a unique product and innovative way approach high standards and networking, is having multiple revenue source. Just don't put all the eggs in one basket. So you have to have at least a few revenue sources that will increase your chance of survival in a directly proportional way. So these 5 points, one invisible, they are going to take care of you if you are into small scale business. Now let's talk about break-even. Break-even point is one of the most important points, because once you've reached it, you've actually arrived, and all you have to do after break-even point is to come to the category where you actually start making profit. What's break-even point? When the sales proceeds have taken care of all your operating expenses, and now even though you're not making profits, you're not incurring losses. So that's break-even point. And at that point you decide, should I increase the price of my product? Should I, and what should I be doing to decrease the operating cost so that I come into the zone of profit making unit? 3 things you need to know to know more about the break-even point. It's the rule of thumb, it should not be missed. You need to know the fixed assets that your unit would have. You need to know what will be the price of the product that you'll be selling, what will be the variable cost. Now a little bit about fixed assets. Now these are the assets. Fixed costs do not change with the sales of the product. So if your fixed costs on rent, on machines, on insurance is the same, so the fixed cost on the assets, on the fixed assets, upon the price of per unit of product would be that particular thing minus the variable cost. Now variable cost, it changes as per the sales. So if you will have to hire more labor, you will have to buy more raw material with the variable, that's variable cost for you. So fixed assets upon the difference between the price of the MRP of the product minus the variable cost will give you the number of items that you need to sell to come into the zone of break even. For example, your fixed cost is 10,000, is just an example. So that is the amount that you're paying for as rent, as insurance amount, or whatever else. Upon the difference between the product's price, let's say that it is 500 per piece, minus 250 amount is the amount that you are spending in production. So the difference is 250. So 10,000 pound 250 is 400. So you need to sell 400 units in order to come into the break-even point zone. You also need to have idea about what is doing very well in your country. Each country would have different trends. For example, in India, apparels, people dealing with apparels, they do very well. They cosmetics, because self-care is what Indians are really high upon. So but they also have to face a lot of competitors in these areas. So apparels, cosmetics, electronics, because these days, and especially in corona times, you need to have your personal electronic gadget like a mobile phone or a laptop or a PC. So these are a few points that you need to take care of. So let me summarize it for you. If you are into some small scale industry, small business, your profit margin should be at least 50%, because small businesses need higher profit margins to survive. If it is lesser than 50%, there are bright chances that your business will fold up, because the net profit should at least be 30% after deducting the operating expenses, etc., etc., employees salary, etc., etc. So what you need to keep in mind, keep your profit margin at least 50%. And why would that would hike the cost of your product, which can be compensated by the quality of the product, by its uniqueness, by the innovation you have integrated into the product. So you need to come up with an ace idea. Uniqueness would be the game changer. So these 2 points, plus have multiple revenue sources. Just don't bank on one thing. Start with diversified portfolio. That will increase your chances of survival. I guess that's that for now. Bye. All the best.